so that we would see and hear, know and think of nothing but this article. And we've been thinking throughout this whole Lenten season, our themes have been standing at the cross and these various themes. We started, this banner has been very helpful that some of our folks made a month ago to help us to keep track of what's been going on through Lent. We started with Jesus being tempted by the devil in the wilderness, who said, you're hungry, make these stones into bread, and Jesus refused. And then Jesus told Nicodemus the story, reminded him of how Moses raised up the snake in the wilderness, and Jesus must be raised up on the cross also to bear the sins of the world. And then Jesus met the woman at the well and told her that even though she was thirsty for water, he would give her water that would, she wouldn't be thirsty anymore forever, and he would give her the living water. Then the next week, Jesus healed a man born blind, and the following week he raised Lazarus from the dead. And then last Sunday was Palm Sunday. It was just a week ago, Palm Sunday. And then on Maundy, Thursday, he gave the Lord's Supper to his disciples and to us. Just a couple days ago, he died on the cross. And today, Easter Sunday, with the lilies and the butterflies as symbols of his resurrection. He's risen from the dead and lives and reigns to all eternity. It's his victory, and we stand in victory on this Easter Sunday and always. His is the victory over sin and death and the devil, and we say that frequently. We say that, at least we say that in funerals. We say that as if we're shaking our fists at the grave. You know, when we come to a funeral or like at the cemetery, we'll say things like, "O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law, but thanks be to God who gives us the victory over sin." Or we say things like, "The shouts of victory are heard in the tents of the righteous." Jesus gives us the victory over death. And yet, we don't talk like that sometimes. We don't act like that sometimes in our life. So here's what I want you to do. This is my personal request for you. When I die, whatever it is I die from, okay, which at the rate I'm going will probably be a bad case of goofiness. Okay, I don't know if I'll die from some horrible disease or, you know, some nasty traffic accident. I'll just probably die from a bad case of stupidity or something. Okay, well, whenever I die, here's what I want you to do. If somebody says, well, Pastor Cahill lost his battle with terminal stupidity, I want you to take whatever it is you're drinking at the time and pour it over their heads. Well, you can slap them if you want, but I don't want to encourage violence. It's whatever you're drinking at the time, just take it and pour it over their head, Pastor Cahill. You know, because when you die, you're not losing the battle. I mean, we always say that, though, don't we? When this or that person died and they lost the battle with this or that. No, that's not the point. Because Jesus has already won the victory for us. He's already given the victory over sin and death and the devil in his own resurrection, and he shares that victory with us. So how can we lose anything when we die if we already have the victory? It just looks funky to say, but there it is. He died. He was fighting against terminal stupidity, and he died. So he must have lost. No, that's when I win. That's when I get rid of this stupid body and this dumb life and these dumb attitudes, and that's when I go to heaven. That's the whole point. The victory is finally mine. It's just that between now and then, it just looks bad. But the real goodness, the real victory, everything is hidden with Christ in God. That's why St. Paul wrote that. Our life is hidden with Christ in God. You can't see the victory that we know is there. But it's hidden with Christ in God. It's like, it's an Easter thing. It's an Easter thing. You don't get Easter without understanding the victory of Jesus. And you don't get this idea that our life is hidden with Christ in God without Easter. And you really don't. And here's the Easter thing. We really need to talk seriously about that great, time-honored, holy, and sacred, long-standing Easter tradition. The Easter egg hunt. Now, this will make sense, or help it all make sense. I don't know if you've seen the commercials over this last several weeks from Walmart about a bunch of kids running all over the place in the yard looking for Easter eggs. Mom and Dad are in the house, they're quietly setting up the party, and the kids are going all over the place, you know, doing all kinds of weird things, getting it, and the caption says, "Easter like you mean it." It's a big hunt and a big thing. And I always think Easter egg hunt means, you know, did you wear your Easter egg camouflage so the eggs can't see you coming? You know, things like that. But here's the deal. Did you find all the Easter eggs? Did you find all the Easter eggs? Did you find all the Easter eggs? See, did you find the Easter eggs? There's still one more. Did you find it? There's still one more Easter egg. Don't help. There's still one more Easter egg. The Easter Bunny has it up here. Here it is. It's been hiding up here the whole time since you came in. Oh, there it is. There's one more Easter egg. It's actually hiding in plain sight, but there it is. Now we found the Easter egg. Yay, hooray, here we are. Now you know what I noticed when the kids were out looking for Easter eggs before, just a few minutes ago? They got all the Easter eggs together and they were happy to get all those Easter eggs. End of story, right? No, sorry, not end of story. You know what they did? They sat down on the sidewalk out there and they opened all those Easter eggs, because to find the Easter eggs wasn't the point. They wanted to find out what was inside the Easter eggs, right? You got to break them to get whatever's in them, because these happen to be treat Easter eggs. This one happens to have bubble gum in it. Ooh. Oh, suddenly you wake up. Oh. But guess what? I know who gets bubble gum. Yeah, my wife gets the bubble gum. So now she's happy, okay, because she got the treat that was inside the Easter egg. The point of the Easter egg is not to get, if we'd have put a bunch of empty eggs out there and kids went looking for them, they'd all go, "Honey, they're empty." Because it's the treat that's inside. It's what's hidden inside the egg that is important. And we could have made these eggs all ugly and nasty looking, and trust me on this one, there have been some years where we have found some of these eggs in like August out in the yard. I know, but you know, the birds haven't gotten to them, or, you know, but there's still candy in them, and you open up, oh, there's still candy in here. Now the birds can have the candy, but the eggs don't look all that good. They're muddy, you know, they get grass stains, and they're kind of nasty looking, but there's still treats inside them. And that's kind of the way we are. You know, our lives are not wonderful and good and sunny and bright and glorious all the time. Our lives are pretty nasty sometimes. I mean, sometimes our lives are pretty good, but sometimes bad things happen, and sometimes terrible things happen, and sometimes we have bad illnesses, and sometimes we get in accidents, and sometimes it's not all that bad, but sometimes don't you just think, if I had a calendar, I would tear off February and throw it away, you know, and just go from January to March. Have you ever had a year like that? Just forget that. And maybe it wasn't horrible, but you just want to do that. And that's the way it is. But inside that, but that's just that egg, that's just the shell, that's just the part you can see. Okay? You didn't know what was in this until I opened it. And the part that we can't see, the real treasure, the real good part, is the part that's the victory that Jesus has already given us. The part that we can't see, the part that is inside the illness or the sickness or the bad month or the bad week or the crummy drivers or the bad weather or whatever it is, the part that is in us is the victory that Jesus has given us. Every single moment of every single day. And if you come home and say, I've had a really bad day, the day may have been bad and your mood may have been bad and the people around you may have been bad, but you still have the victory that Jesus has given us in his resurrection. And when we die, we haven't lost a battle. We've won the victory because we don't have to fight any of this anymore. It may seem like we're crushed and broken, but it's the last time, because Jesus takes us to himself in heaven, where we live in victory with him forever. That's the point of Easter. That's the point of the resurrection. Jesus has risen from the dead and given us the victory that he won over sin and death and the devil. And so everything that we go through in life is just a shell. It's just a shell. The real treasure, the real victory, the real joy, and the real glory is what Jesus has given to us. And you can't always see it, and you can't always feel it, but it's always there. It's always there because Christ has risen. Ooh, you did the same thing they did earlier. Because Christ has risen.
He is risen indeed. Hallelujah.
That's better, thank you. Let's turn to the Nicene Creed on page 2 of the worship folder. And let's read together this confession of faith.